The unexpected hunting trip. In the heart of the Appalachian wilderness, nestled deep within the ancient, gnarled woods, two friends embarked on a hunting trip unlike any other. Andrew and Mark had been best friends since childhood, bonded by their shared love for adventure and the macabre. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting eerie shadows across the forest, they set up their campsite and prepared for a night of hunting. The air grew heavy with anticipation, and a strange unease settled upon the land. But it was not the ordinary anticipation of hunters awaiting their prey, it was something darker, something that the forest itself seemed to conspire against. Andrew, a horror novelist with a penchant for the supernatural, couldn't help but feel a creeping sense of foreboding, while Mark, the skeptic, dismissed his friend's unease as mere nerves. The moon, a pale and sickly eye in the sky, cast an eerie glow over the forest. The rustling leaves and chirping crickets seemed to whisper secrets to one another, secrets that Andrew's vivid imagination couldn't help but twist into sinister tales. He regaled Mark with stories of haunted woods, of lost souls forever trapped in the depths of the wilderness, and of ancient curses lurking in the shadows. Mark, armed with his rifle, chuckled at Andrew's tales. "You always did have a way with words, my friend. But there's nothing out here but the rustle of leaves and the snap of twigs. No ghosts or curses to worry about." Little did Mark know that their night in the woods would soon become the stuff of Andrew's darkest nightmares. As the hour grew late, they set out into the woods, their flashlights cutting through the thick veil of darkness. The forest seemed to close in around them, the trees reaching out with twisted limbs to grasp at their very souls. Andrew couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, that malevolent eyes followed their every move. Suddenly, they stumbled upon an anomaly that defied all reason. Amidst the dense underbrush, they discovered a circular clearing, bathed in an eerie, otherworldly light. At its center stood an ancient, gnarled tree, its bark twisted and blackened as if it had witnessed centuries of unspeakable horrors. Mark's skepticism wavered for the first time that night. This can't be natural," he stammered. Andrew, his heart pounding with equal parts fear and fascination, stepped closer to the tree. Its bark felt cool to the touch, and he could sense a subtle, pulsating energy emanating from it. He whispered, "I've heard of legends, Mark. Legends that speak of portals to other dimensions hidden in the heart of ancient forests." Mark's skepticism gave way to curiosity as he asked, "You really think that's what this is?" Andrew nodded, his voice barely a whisper, "There's only one way to find out." With trembling hands, they took each other's flashlights and cautiously approached the gnarled tree. They reached out simultaneously, their fingers making contact with the bark. In an instant, the world around them twisted and contorted, and they were pulled into a nightmarish vortex of swirling colors and incomprehensible shapes. When they finally landed, it was on the other side of reality, in a place that defied all description. The air was thick with a noxious, metallic scent, and the sky above was a maelstrom of shifting colors. The ground beneath their feet seemed to writhe and pulse with a malevolent energy, like the very earth was alive and hungry. Andrew and Mark were in a nightmarish dimension, a place where the laws of physics had been torn asunder. The trees around them were grotesque, contorted mockeries of nature, their branches ending in jagged, razor-sharp points. Strange, shadowy creatures lurked in the periphery of their vision, their eyes gleaming with hunger. Panic set in as they realized the gravity of their situation. They were trapped in a world of nightmares, a realm where the very fabric of reality had unraveled. Desperate to find a way back, they stumbled through the grotesque landscape, their every step taking them deeper into the heart of darkness. Hours turned into days, or perhaps it was mere moments, as time itself seemed to lose all meaning in this accursed dimension. They encountered horrors beyond imagination, spectral figures that whispered their darkest fears, twisted landscapes that defied all reason, and a relentless feeling that they were being hunted by unseen forces. Andrew's mind, once fueled by imagination, now teetered on the brink of madness. He muttered incomprehensible incantations, desperately trying to find a way back home. Mark, his skepticism shattered, clung to his rifle like a lifeline, the only semblance of familiarity in this nightmare. Then, Just when they thought all hope was lost, they stumbled upon another anomaly, a rift in the fabric of this nightmarish world. It pulsed with a sickly, red light, and as they approached, they could feel a faint tug, like the call of home. Without hesitation, they stepped through the rift and found themselves back in the clearing where their nightmare had begun. The gnarled tree stood before them, as if it had been waiting for their return. Exhausted and traumatized, they collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. The forest around them seemed different now, less menacing, as if the very land had sensed their ordeal and offered them a reprieve. As dawn broke, they made their way back to their campsite, their minds forever scarred by the horrors they had witnessed. Andrew, the horror novelist, knew that no words could ever do justice to the terrors of the dimension they had visited. And Mark, the skeptic, had become a believer in the darkest possibilities of the universe. They left the woods that day, vowing never to speak of their harrowing experience again. But deep in the recesses of their minds, the memory of the portal and the nightmarish dimension it led to would haunt them for the rest of their days, a chilling reminder that some horrors are best left unexplored. Years had passed since Andrew and Mark's nightmarish encounter with the portal to another dimension. They had tried their best to move on, to bury the memories deep within their minds. But the horrors of that night had left an indelible mark on their souls, a shadow that refused to fade. For Andrew, the experience had fueled his writing, sending him down a darker, more twisted path in his pursuit of horror fiction. His novels had become bestsellers, drawing readers into nightmarish worlds of cosmic terror and existential dread. But behind his success, he carried a heavy burden, a secret knowledge of the true horrors that lurked beyond the veil of reality. Mark, on the other hand, had retreated from the world of adventure and skepticism. He had become a recluse, haunted by the memories of the grotesque creatures and the malevolent forces they had encountered in that otherworldly dimension. His once skeptical nature had given way to a profound belief in the supernatural, a belief that consumed him. It was a cold, autumn evening when a knock echoed through Andrew's dimly lit study. Startled, he opened the door to find Mark standing there, his face etched with a mixture of fear and determination. "We need to talk," Mark said, his voice trembling. Andrew let his old friend in, and as they sat by the flickering fireplace, Mark began to speak. "I've been haunted by nightmares, Andrew. Nightmares of that other dimension, of the creatures that lurk there. I can't escape it. It's as if that world has its hooks in my soul." Andrew nodded, understanding all too well the torment that Mark had endured. "I felt it too," he confessed. "The stories I've written, they're not just fiction. They're fragments of that other world, echoes of the horrors we witnessed." Mark's eyes widened in realization. "You mean to say that by writing those stories, you've somehow connected us to that place?" Andrew nodded again, his voice filled with guilt. "I think so. I think our experiences opened a door that should have remained closed. And now, it's calling to us." Mark's resolve hardened. "Then we need to find a way to close that door for good. We can't let those horrors seep into our world." The two friends embarked on a journey, not into the physical wilderness this time, but into the depths of their own minds. They delved into ancient texts and whispered legends, seeking knowledge that might hold the key to sealing the rift they had unwittingly created. Their quest led them to a reclusive scholar, a man who had dedicated his life to the study of forbidden knowledge. He lived in a ramshackle cabin deep in the woods, a place where the boundary between worlds seemed thin. The scholar listened intently to their tale, his eyes filled with a mixture of curiosity and dread. "You've tampered with forces beyond your understanding," he warned. "But perhaps, together, we can find a way to mend the rift." Days turned into weeks as they pored over arcane texts and conducted dark rituals under the scholar's guidance. They learned of ancient incantations, of sigils and symbols that could harness the very fabric of reality. They uncovered the existence of guardians, ancient beings tasked with protecting the boundaries between dimensions. And then, one fateful night, they stood at the edge of the portal, the gnarled tree looming before them. Armed with newfound knowledge and a sense of purpose, they chanted incantations, etching symbols into the tree's bark. The air crackled with energy as they called upon the guardians to seal the rift. As they worked, the very fabric of the otherworldly dimension seemed to protest, sending forth nightmarish apparitions and grotesque abominations to stop them. But Andrew and Mark stood their ground, their determination unwavering. Finally, as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the rift began to close. The sky above twisted and contorted, and the portal shrank, its malevolent light diminishing. With one final incantation, they sealed the rift, and the gnarled tree returned to its natural state. Exhausted and triumphant, Andrew and Mark knew that they had done what had to be done. The portal was closed, the horrors contained once more. But the scars on their souls would never fully heal, a constant reminder of the price they had paid for their curiosity. As they left the forest, the weight of their burden felt a little lighter. They had faced the darkest corners of existence and had emerged, if not unscathed, then stronger for it. And though they would carry the memories of that other dimension with them always, they knew they had prevented a greater darkness from seeping into their world. In the end, their shared journey had not only deepened their friendship but had also taught them a profound lesson about the boundaries of human knowledge. Some doors, once opened, should remain forever closed, for the mysteries they hold are too terrible to comprehend. Years passed once more, and the memory of the otherworldly horrors began to fade for both Andrew and Mark. They had continued their separate lives, occasionally meeting up as old friends do, but the events of that hunting trip had become a distant, almost surreal, memory. Andrew had gone on to write more novels, shifting his focus from tales of cosmic horror to stories of hope and redemption. Mark had rekindled his love for adventure, embarking on trips to far-flung places, always with a cautious eye on the mysterious and the unexplained. It was during one of these adventures, deep in the heart of the Amazon rainforest, that Mark stumbled upon an ancient temple. Its massive stone doors were adorned with cryptic symbols, and its very presence sent shivers down his spine. Ignoring the warnings of his local guides, Mark pushed open the doors, revealing a chamber filled with strange artifacts and carvings. As he explored further, Mark came upon a mural that depicted the gnarled tree they had encountered years ago. It was unmistakable, with its twisted branches reaching out to touch the heavens. The mural seemed to tell a story of ancient rituals and the opening of a portal to another dimension. Realization washed over Mark as he connected the dots. The portal they had sealed had not been a random occurrence, it had been part of a much larger, ancient network of interdimensional gateways. And now, standing in this long-forgotten temple, Mark felt the presence of something malevolent lurking in the shadows, something that had been awakened by his discovery. Back home, Mark contacted Andrew, his voice trembling with urgency. "We made a mistake, Andrew. The portal, it wasn't just a one-time thing. It's part of something much older, much bigger. And I think I've awakened it again." Andrew, now a seasoned writer of tales that blended the mysterious with the hopeful, didn't hesitate. He knew that their past actions had consequences, and he couldn't let the horrors they had encountered resurface. The two friends reunited, and with the knowledge they had gained over the years, they returned to the Amazon rainforest. The temple, however, was gone, as if it had vanished into thin air, leaving behind only an overgrown, mysterious clearing. Using the ancient symbols they had learned from the reclusive scholar, they performed a ritual to close the rift they had inadvertently reopened. The air around them grew thick with tension, and once again, nightmarish apparitions and grotesque abominations emerged to stop them. But this time, Andrew and Mark were prepared. They had learned to harness their own inner strength, to face their deepest fears. With a final incantation, they sealed the rift, this time with even more determination, and the clearing returned to its natural state. As they stood there, exhausted but victorious, the weight of their burden felt heavier than ever before. They had now witnessed firsthand the ancient, malevolent force that lurked on the other side of the rift. It was a darkness that hungered for entry into their world, and it would never stop trying to breach the boundaries of existence. With a newfound sense of responsibility, Andrew and Mark pledged to protect the secrets they had uncovered. They vowed to spend the rest of their lives guarding the knowledge of the ancient gateways, ensuring that they would remain forever sealed. Their shared journey had come full circle, and they had learned that the pursuit of knowledge, no matter how noble, could come with dire consequences. But in facing those consequences head-on, they had found a deeper bond and a sense of purpose that would guide them through the rest of their lives. And as they left the Amazon rainforest once more, they knew that they had done what needed to be done. The portal was sealed, the malevolent force contained once more. Their scars remained, a constant reminder of their past, but they were now guardians of a dark secret, protectors of a fragile boundary between worlds.